you have no confidence in self, you are twice defeated in the race of life. A people without knowledge of their past, history, origin, and culture is like a tree without roots. Liberate the minds of men, and ultimately you will liberate the bodies of men. Men who are earnest, but not afraid of their consequences. They try to put my soul in a black hole, but didn't realize this melanin is gold. That's why I shine with this little light of mine.
Let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. You're now tuned into Civics for the Culture, hosted by me, Bennie, aka Poeticlee Williams III. And look, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a politician. However, I'm someone just like you that has access to information and can do research to learn about this system, put yourself on game to learn how this system is created. So if you're a person of color, it's not benefited truly to support us on a level that's equal to our white counterparts, or even beneficial in privilege and beneficial in system and just systematic practices, whether it may be in law, whether it may just be in legal practices, whether it may be housing practices. There are a lot of practices that are just handled and operated that just aren't in our benefit as far as people of color, brown people, black people, because of the history of this country when it's built off slaves, and when it's built off hate, when it's built off segregation, when it's built off Jim Crow era, when it's built off slave patrols, when it's built off KKK, when it's built off the crack era. There's the number of things to go down this line of why it's not built up for black and brown people to be successful truly in our finest and our greatest golden potential is evident. And that's what Civics of the Culture is here to do, is here to bring some things to light throughout our history and current time that have and impeded us and kind of hindered our growth and hindered us from truly being quote unquote free in this country that's the land for the free. So one thing I want to talk about today, we've gone over a list of different things on the show. Go through the YouTube on Watch LOTUS X, Instagram, Watch LOTUS X. Definitely check it out. Watch LOTUS X is where you can see all the content. SoundCloud online. You can follow me at Poeticlee, Poeticlee. One thing I wanted to jump into today was we know a lot about Black Panthers. And we're going to get into more Black Panthers too, talk later on in episodes. However, as we talk more about radical or just Black organizations, I'm not even going to say radical, because that's how it gets even phrased. That's how it gets looked. Just Black organizations that are for the improvement of life, the improvement of life, the improvement of one's self-image, the improvement of one's self-well-being. That's what these Black organizations that we're going to talk about are really focused in. And when you hear about the Black Panthers, and maybe you have, maybe you haven't, but another one is the Move organization. And as I was doing some research, really learning and putting myself on a lot of game and knowledge, because this was an organization I was not too familiar with out of Philadelphia, and really going into learning about who the Move 9 were and are, the Move 9, and the fact that we don't even have to say free Move 9 anymore. So that's going to be big, and talk about into what they were about, not just what they're about, but some major events that occurred with the Move organization. So you may ask, what is Move? Who are these people, and what is this organization called Move? So about Move belief and practice. The Move organization is a family strong, serious, deeply committed revolutionaries founded by a wise, perceptive, strategically minded Black man named John Africa. The principle of our belief is explained in the collection of writings we call the Guidelines, authored by John Africa. So what I'll do is, I'm not going to read through every guideline, but I am just going to list off some of the guidelines that they have, as their guidelines go through religion, natural law, self-defense, right and wrong, the system, Move, their work, being a revolutionary, persecution, the duration of the struggle. There talks about the leaders, living as a revolutionary family, the parents, raw food and distortion, and caring for life. And then the name Move. So let's get into the name Move. The word Move is not an acronym. It means exactly what it says. Move, work, generate, be active. Everything that's alive moves. If it didn't, it would just stay stagnant, dead. Movement is the principle of life. And because move's belief is life, our founder, John Africa, gave us the name Move. When we greet each other, we say, on the move. The power of truth is final. John Africa. I like that. I like that. I like that. Because when you think of the name Move, especially for an organization, you would hope that it's just that, like moving, on the move, steady growing, steady growing, steady going, steady growing, steady going, steady growing. That's how we should be as a people. And that's why I want to talk about these different organizations, especially Black organizations that have been pushing for the preservation of life and also the evolution of life. You know, so when we talk about life, one of their starting guideline is off religion, which is their religion is life. John Africa taught us that life is the priority. Nothing is more important or as important as life, the force that keeps us alive. All life comes from one source, from God, mom, nature, mama. Each individual life is dependent on every other life. And all life has a purpose. So all living beings, things that move are equally important. Excuse me. Let me read that one more time. Each individual life is dependent on every other life, and all life has a purpose. So all living beings, things that move are equally important, whether they are human beings, dogs, birds, fish, trees, ants, weeds, rivers, wind, or rain. To stay healthy and strong, life must have clean air, clean water, and pure food. If deprived of these things, life cycles to the next level, or as the system says, dies. Natural law is one of their guidelines. We believe in natural law, the government of self. Man-made laws are not really laws because they don't apply equally to everyone, and they contain exceptions and loopholes. Man-made laws are constantly being amended, or repealed. Natural law stays the same and always has. Man laws require police, sheriffs, armies, and courts to enforce them and lawyers to explain them. True law is self-explanatory and self-enforcing. So yeah, that's natural law guideline. So another guideline, self-defense. All living things instinctively defend themselves. This is a God-given right of all life. If a man goes into a bear's cave, he violates and threatens the bear's place of security. The bear would defend his home by instinctively fighting off the man and eliminating him. The bear is not wrong because self-defense is right. Now, you wouldn't think that's why. So when you see us, and when I say us, I mean people that are brown, people that are Black out here protesting. It's because of our self-defense. We're not out here eliminating you. You should be thankful for that. You know, so when you see us upset, when you see us angry, when you see us emotional, when you see us passionate, we're just, you violated us. So I definitely understand that self-defense guideline. Here's another guideline, right and wrong. The fact that something is legal under the system's law doesn't make it right. Slavery was legal. Killing Native Americans and stealing their land was all done legally. John Africa taught us that what is right applies equally across the board. If something is right, it's right for all of life with no separations. And what I love about these guidelines is they're not trying to focus on Black people, you know? It's a preservation, it's an evolution for human beings, for all people. And you would look at this, you would wonder, would this organization be taunted? Why would this organization have members go to jail? Why would this organization have a bomb dropped on their building where members, adults, and children died? You know, I'm talking about the MOVE organization, a Black organization that pushed for evolution, not just for Black people, but for all people here in this country. And if you go in to learn about the MOVE 9, so much history right here about MOVE, an organization out of Philadelphia once again that was about moving in action, just being on the move, about this raw essence and sense of life. They had a MOVE 9 that were members that were convicted to, which I actually read a little bit of that story just to give you a little insight about the MOVE 9. But we're talking about the MOVE organization right now and their guidelines. Another one, their guidelines, the system. We don't believe in So we don't believe in this reform world system. The government, the military, industry, and big business, they have historically abused, raped, and bartered life for the sake of money. These rulers and policymakers don't care who they kill, enslave, cripple, poison, or disease in their quest for money. They sure don't. Politicians are put in place to legalize, endorse, and protect industry and big business. Therefore, we don't believe in politics at all. And they have a long description about the system, what they think about the system, but mainly right there. Politicians are put in place to legalize, endorse, and protect industry and big business. Therefore, we don't believe in politics at all. And that's their view on that. So you may ask, what's Move's work? Move's work is revolution. John Africa's revolution, a revolution to stop man's system from imposing on life, to stop industry from poisoning the air, water, and soil, and to put an end to the enslavement of all life. Our work is to show people how rotten and enslaving the system is, and the system that is the cause of homelessness, unemployment, drug addiction, alcoholism, racism, domestic abuse, AIDS, crime, war, all these problems of the world. We are working to demonstrate that people who not only can fight this system, they must fight. They can not only fight the system, they must fight the system if they ever want to free themselves from endless suffering and oppression. So that's Move's work right there. Then they also talk about being a revolutionary. Revolution starts with the individual. It starts with the person making a personal commitment to do what's right. You can't turn someone into a revolutionary by making them chant slogans or wave guns. To understand revolution, you must be sound. Revolution is not imposed upon another, it is kindled within them. A person can talk about revolution, but if they still worshiping money or putting drugs into their body or beating their mate, they obviously haven't committed to themselves to doing what's right. Revolution is not a philosophy, it is an activity, and that's being revolutionary. Being a revolutionary, written here on onamove.com from the Move organization, as we go through some of their guidelines. Persecution. We are a deeply religious organization. We know that the current political system resents our clean, righteous example and wants to stop us from exposing their corruption, even if they have to kill us. Just as Jesus was labeled radical and persecuted to death by politicians of his day, for what he said, we know how threatening our message is to those in power and why they come down so hard on us. We expect it and we are prepared for it. So that's their persecution. Interesting. The duration of the struggle. We don't measure our success with reference to a calendar. As long as we do what's right, the only way things can turn out is right. I love that. As long as we do what's right, the only way things can turn out is right. Regardless of time, we are not anxious or impatient, and we will not compromise our principle for quick temporary results. We don't necessarily expect to see a dramatic change in the system in our lifetime or our children's lifetime. We know that hundreds of years of denigration and imposition will take many hundreds of years to correct. But the initial turning of the tide has to start somewhere. John Africa began that process through the Move organization. Long live John Africa. John Africa died, and what was an incredible event that's not talked about a lot because I didn't even learn about, but definitely look up the Move bombing that happened on their headquarters in Philadelphia by the police, and how that whole event went down. That's pretty wild, but we'll have to talk about it on another episode. And then goes talking about some more about the Move organization. I want to just talk about, let's see, what else can we talk about with Move? Oh man, it's just so much. I really just want to shed some light onto an organization, a Black organization that's pushed for the evolution of life, that's still active in this day out of Philadelphia. You can go to onamove.com to learn more about it. But we have to learn more about these organizations that are out here, because we talk about who's out here to protect us. We talk about who's out here to connect us. There are people out here that are doing the work. We just got to do the work ourselves to go out there and actually find it. You can't just sit at home and talk about who's going to do this for me, or who's going to protect us if we're not making those active just moves, no pun intended, to put ourselves in positions to be connected and to rise up. In order to rise, we got to start. You've got to start somewhere. Like I said down here, and what I love about this is that it's about just living day to day, truth to self. No calendar of time. There is no calendar of time of when you'll see justice. There is no calendar of time when you'll see equality. There is no calendar of time of when you'll see Black people in powers with equity and in the power. There is no calendar. It's just a process of just doing, and that's what we're here on Civics of the Culture, is to do and to research and to learn more about the system, learn about who's a part of the system, to learn more about the different events that have happened within the system that we can be wise on. And look, we have to be strategic as well. We have to be strategic. Too many organizations such as MOVE have been tried to be suppressed and destroyed because of the message that they were promoting, the message they were trying to shout out to others about preservation of life and living, and continue to push through this raw essence of self-defense, this raw essence of natural law, not just a legal, not just a system law, this natural essence of life. And that all living things matter. That's what we should be pushing. That's really what we should be pushing. This essence of self-defense. And if you violate me, then I have the right to defend myself. And that's what we got to understand as a people, that this government is violating us. And if this government is violating us, we should have the right to defend ourselves and speak up for ourselves. Don't hold back. This is Civics of the Culture, Civics for the Culture. I'm your host, Bennie, aka Poeticlee Williams. And we got to learn. We got to keep rising. We got to keep connecting with each other. We got to stay true to ourselves and stay one. All right. So next time, much love.